Well, let's face it, the first stream was a disaster. I didn't see, or actually I didn't read the chat, and my music was way too loud, and yeah, it wasn't well prepared, and maybe it wasn't really that beginner friendly either. So I have decided to do it all over again, to show you the real basics of how to develop a skill. First off, I have decided to actually make a skill to drive my Sonos equipment. Um, I had done it already in the past, so we can quickly take a look on how it was on the earlier Project Alice. I still have the old modules, which are now skills in Sonos. Um, I'm not gonna make all intents with you, but I'm gonna develop a play, stop, and pause intent. This was the earlier way of doing skills, and I'm gonna show you today that it's way easier with Project Alice nowadays to create your own skills. So let's start. As a first-time user or a first-time skill developer, um, the first advice I can give you is actually to quickly jump to docs.projectalice.io and have a look at skill development. You have many other things, how to set Alice up, links to GitHub, sponsor like JetBrains, that offered me some licenses for people that are working for Project Alice, access to our API. What's interesting for us today is actually skill development. Under skill development, you will find, of course, the introduction, the requirements that are needed, a few questions for yourself, and the terminology we use. How to start the first skill with the typical hello world, the structure of the skill, the files needed, and all that. Built-in slots, we'll come back to that a bit later. How to log stuff or print things on screen for debugging. Um, Events, all events you can subscribe to get feedbacks when something happens, like when it's windy, when it's freezing, or whatever. Widgets, how do they work? Um, Pretty interesting to read. It's very easy. It's actually CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. And of course, the configuration file. If needed, if your skill needs it, you can create configurations or settings for it so people can change them. Okay, let's put that down. First thing we want to do is actually connect to our Project Alice. That should already be running for you. Here I'm using Kitty, which is a much better version of Putty. So login is Pi and password is Umbrella. CD Project Alice. And I'm just going to start it manually by using that command line, and enter. Here we're loading everything, and we are on already. Without waiting, let's just navigate to it under 192.160. Yep, this one. First thing, if you want to create a skill, you need to be in dev mode. Dev mode enables that link here and lets you create skills directly through the interface. Of course, it will not code everything you want, everything you need, but the basic files and everything will be ready for you to build on. So let's go in here, and here we get the skill creation page. Skill edition is not yet made, it's under construction. I will release that in the future, which will allow you to go further with it. But for now, let's focus on skill creation. As we said, we're gonna create a skill for Sonos. So let's say skill name is gonna be Sonos. Skill description, let Alice control your Sonos hardware. The skill is gonna be in English for now. Pipe requirement, yeah, we're gonna need something. So first things off, how do we control Sonos through Python? Well, either we find a way ourselves or we first look if there is an API available for that. So let's quickly Google that. Python Sonos. And we get to GitHub, which is actually a good sign. Soco, I know that library, of course. And it tells us that you can install Soco through pipe. So pretty easily. So what was it? Soco small written. Pipe requirement Soco. Conditions, we have none. Requires connected to the internet, no. The skill requires the ASR to understand words that were not trained. I think it's better or not, depends, but if we want to search for artists or track names, we need the ASR to understand anything we are saying and not just words that were trained. So let's take this one. And then again, a widget, let's call it Sonos playing or Sonos now playing. Then just hit create the skill. As we can see here, it's actually created the skill, and we can immediately upload the skill to GitHub. And for that, you have in your configurations to provide GitHub username as well as an API key. Let's click on this. And it's uploading. It takes a little while, and once it's done, you get the link which you can click, which brings you to a repository that was created by Project LSBot on your account with all the basic files needed for the skill to work. What we're going to do now is we're going to work on that base. We're going to check that. For that, we're going to clone this repository onto our local machine. Let's put it, let's say, no, Project Alice, no. Let's put it here. Git clone. And yeah, let's go. There we go. Skill Sonos has been cloned. You need a tool to edit Python files and work with them. Of course, you can always work with Notepad++ or whatever you want, but I strongly suggest you to have a good IDE for that. To be honest, I'm a big fan of JetBrains, so I won't advert anything else than just using PyCharm, but okay, you can use many others like Visual Studios or whatever. But I found PyCharm to be one of the most powerful tools available for Python or other languages. So let's start PyCharm. There we go. Okay, a few settings problems. Anyway, not a problem. What we want to do is open and create actually a new project in PyCharm for that skill. So that would be File, New Project. Just select where it is. Now it's in Project Alice, Skill Sonos. Interpreter is Python 3.7. create. The directory is not empty. Would you like to create a project from existing sources instead? Yes. And we're gonna attach this new window in our current project. So attach, and it comes here. You can see it created a .idea, which is get ignored by default. And all the basic files were created by the interface a bit earlier. Let's open sonos.py, and as we can see, we have the first errors here because PyCharm doesn't know what is core, or it cannot import things it doesn't know actually. So what you need to do is actually clicking on the main directory, go to Files, Settings, and you have the project dependencies under Project. Select Skill Sonos or whatever you are doing and tell it that it's depending on something else. So in that case, Skill Sonos is depending on the Project Alice. Let's apply. OK, and we're all good. You can now control click and directly jump to that set file. I like to start creating a skill by first doing the boring stuff, which is actually dialog templates. Dialog templates bring they contain everything your assistant needs to know regarding what and how to understand commands you're trying to pass it. So the skill is actually Sonos, that is correct. Forget about icon, we don't care, this is going to be dropped in a while. Just forgot to remove that, the need for it. It's actually deprecated, was used on the Snips console back then. Description is exactly what we wrote, and we have slut types and intents. Sluts. You surely know what they are. They are actually variables in what you are saying. Let's play music in the office. Office would be a slut, for example. Let's stop the music. Stop could be a slut. We can check my old skill, and we can see that I created an intent for play and an intent for stop, but we could actually make this be one intent with a slot that says play and another or stop. This is what we're going to do. So here into slot types, we start typing. And I have set up a few templates for PyCharm that help me code faster. So in that case, I want to inject a new slot type. I just type S for slot, or I could type more, but slot, and that would be insert, add a new slot in the JSON file. It's a slot definition, which writes everything needed for me already. The name, well, this is the name of the slot, so it's gonna be let's play, stop, pause. Matching strictness, we don't care. Automatically extensible, we don't want. We just want to catch, play, stop, or pause. Synonyms, yes. The first value would be play. And as a synonym for play, we could have, for example, on. As a second value, we're gonna have oops, damn, value stop. But the synonyms like off, stop, play. Yeah, off is enough maybe. And here we're gonna make another one, which is value pause. With the synonyms, no, we don't have synonyms for pause, so we leave it empty. And I'm pretty sure we have some others, but that will come later when I start writing the utterances. Let me quickly check that. No, sorry. Yeah, should be okay. Now we need an intent. An intent is actually something that is going to be caught by Alice, and it's going to be deciphered, turned into code, and will tell Alice what you said and what she has to do with it. Again, I just type intent, and I have an intent already defined for me. Let's give a name to that intent. Sorry, I'm a bit sick. A name. Play, stop, pause, Sonos. Let's put in a description. The user wants to start, stop, or pause the music. See, I just found a new synonym for play, which could be also start. Enabled by default, of course. True. What does that mean? That means that intent is always active. You can have intents that are, for example, reserved for answers, or like an intent that says yes or no. You want it disabled by default and only enabled when the user can actually use it. You don't want a user to say, hey Alice, yes, and that being caught. So you would disable it by default, but in that case we want it enabled all the time. Slots. We give a name that's what's going to be returned to Alice. So that name is going to be action. And the type is actually what we just defined up here, slot types. We have the type play, stop, pause. Missing question is defined if you set the slot as required, but I like to programmatically control that, and I don't let snips or whatever other component take care of that for me. What we now need is actually to build some utterances, the ways we are going to ask Alice to do something about our music. So let's play some music. Play. Play is actually the action, it's actually the slot. So let's define it as a slot. For that, I'm going to write it like that. Play. And here comes the slot name. That's defining a slot. And now we're going to build much more. Let's say now. Can you please stop the music? Play some music, please. Please play some music. Please. Did I do it? No. No. Can you please? So here, please stop the music. Turn on music. Please turn on the music. Play some music. Okay. What we're gonna do also is maybe define a slot for where we want to play that music. There's a philosophy I have actually described in the documentations, which defines how we handle slots, how we handle slots and where the action is executed. So, for example, at home I have two Sonos players. I have one sitting in the living room and the other one in the office with me, which is actually not working. I don't know why. So, but basically I have two, but one working in the living room. What I have defined as a philosophy, and I really want people to follow that, is let's say I'm in the office. I don't have any Sonos player, and I'm asking Alice to play some music. She would then ask me where, because there is no player in the office. If I'm in the living room and ask her to play some music, she would directly play that music in the living room. So technically, we first take the place where the order or the order was heard, and we try to execute it there. And if the device needed or to execute that action is not found, we then ask where. But of course, from the office, I could also say, hey Alice, play some music in the living room, which is another slot, and she would do it, of course. So that's why we're gonna add a new slot again. So here I'm gonna slot, and in the intent definition, this one. And for that, we're gonna use an inbuilt slot, which is technically a slot that is prepared for you and for you to use, available in the basic Alice core skill that is anyway always running.
I wonder what would happen if I was to change that setting and...
It's in skill development, built-in slots, and we're gonna take Alice room. Here the name is gonna be room required no, and here Alice room is the type. Now you don't need to define Alice room here because it's already defined in the skill Alice core. Let's quickly take a shot here. Alice room is here, and it contains pretty many room names. Enough, I think. What I like to do is actually I do copy that because I'm adding a new slot. And let's say in the, and here the slot office, and this is gonna be room. Let's copy that and paste it a bit everywhere, and also give different ways of saying. So some music in the office, but also some drop the D, and so we're just in bathroom. Some music without anything and say everywhere, because it's also a room. Everywhere is a room in Project Alice. Some music, please. Gonna play some music, please. This one doesn't sound okay. Put the please here. In the kitchen, play some music. In the office, play some music. Please stop the music. In bedroom, turn on the music in the living room, and please turn on the music in the office. Who cares? Anyway, so we have created a few utterances. Of course, the more you have, the better. Now, this is done. Everything is checked. Yes, analysis has been completed and it's correct. Yeah, speaking of that analysis here, analysis completed. It's actually here. If you go to JSON here, you can add new schemes for to check your JSON formats and syntax. Now I've created dialog schema, install schema, and talk schema. URLs are all on our GitHub. So we have the talk schema, and it will verify the file. So if I try to write something that isn't supported, I'm going to get a nice notice saying no, no, no. Like, say, I'm not supported. False. Okay, it doesn't care. Maybe it's not strict. Here. So here it's strict, and it says no, this one is not existing. But for slut types, it's not that strict. So anyway, this is done. Let's jump into the script itself. As you can see, it already placed everything we need automatically inside the script. Now we're gonna need to build on top of that. First off, we have the class called Sonos, which is normal, and we have an intent handler, where comes my sorry, may I cancel the intent name, and then the method that is called by this intent. So here we're gonna copy paste the intent name, which is play stop pause Sonos here, and recall that rename that dummy intent into play stop pause, like something like that. And every time Alice captures the play stop pause Sonos intent, it's gonna call play stop pause method. So what is that method doing? That method is using SOCO, which is what we said, what we referenced as a requirement, and we're gonna build our skill using this API. For that, we need to initialize the API. Of course, as you can see from SOCO, import SOCO, and you can find zones and rooms and whatever. So we need to do that first. So how are we gonna do? Well, let's do this. Def unstart pass, because I'm gonna come back in a short while. And we're gonna also def init. It's really not happy, so Alt Enter, and it tells you to add the supercall class. Here we go. Here we're gonna define self.Sonos players, and it's gonna be a dictionary with strings and SOCO instances is equal to dict. When we start, So this is first, when we start Alice, it's gonna try to load all these skills we have created or available in our skills, and it's gonna call that init function, which stands for initialize or initialization or whatever. And for that, we can declare our variables that we're gonna need or use throughout the whole script. I prefix them with underscore because that would, by convention, mean that they are private. Then comes the onStart. As you can see, okay, let me correct that. Uh, it's a function that is, it's a method that is available from Alice skill. You can see it here because it overrides the basic method in Alice skill. And what it does, that basic method, is actually outputting a few things and initializes database and subscribes intents. So what we want to do is make sure that this is also called, so we get feedback on screen. Now, if we read the SOCO documentation, we can see that they import um, um, players using SOCO Discover. So what we want to do is for, let's say, I'm going to go very simple here. So for room in SOCO, oops, it doesn't know it, so Alt Enter import SOCO. Discover, we're going to put it into self.sonos players. What do they say? Room dot player name is equal to room. I don't like that room, as it would be. I'd rather have device. Why do I do that? It's just to, so we don't need to actually search for the players every time we give an order to Alice to play, stop, or pause, but we'll load them when the skill starts. We'll load the players, the available players. Yes, we could do that much easier, like self.sonos players, a player is equal to device.player name device for device in soco.discover, which is a bit more Pythonic way of writing that. Now, we get our intent, and we're gonna have to type something in there. Remember, we have two slots. We have the action and the room where we want to execute that action. Well, we can also add maybe something else. Look, we can maybe do like music, please, and please music. Let's take that one. Plays music in the living room or in the office. Music, please. So if we don't tell the action, that means we want to turn on the music. So let's do this. For this, all these methods, intent methods, get an object that is a session, a dialog session with a variable session. Dialog session holds lots of information about what was heard and what is going on during that dialogue you're having with Alice. And it holds the slots. So let's try to make first the action. Action equals session dot slots. Which one? Well, we called it action. So we're going to take the value of that. It's the action is equal to that slut action, but only if action in session.sluts, else the action is going to be play. Meaning we did not say what action, we did not say, hey, play music. We said music, please. So that means we want to play. Same goes for the room. Room is equal to session.sluts room. If room in session.sluts, else. Now I don't have a setting yet. I saw that this afternoon when doing the first stream, so I haven't implemented it yet, but I'm gonna change that later. For now, let's just say office. Here should come a dynamic value, which would be better, meaning the site ID. But the site ID default is maybe not the best, so, well, you know, it's gonna change. Or we could actually do it like, oh, okay, let's do it this way, session.site ID. A site ID for Alice in the living room is living room, for the Alice in the kitchen is actually kitchen, but unfortunately my main unit is called default, and there is no Sonos player at default. So, room. We got the action, we got the room. Now what we want to do is actually check if we have a player in that said room. So remember, we loaded Sonos players. So if room not in self.sonos players, what we're going to do is tell the user we can't, because there is no player in there. I can't trigger a Sonos player in a room that doesn't have a player. So we're going to say self.endDialog. The session ID we want to end is session.sessionID. And the text we want Alice to say when she's ending the session, ending the dialogue. Text is equal to self.randomTalk. No player in room. And we're gonna replace with room. Now, what does that mean? It means it takes whatever I have in my talks, English, a random one from no player in room. So we gotta define that here. No player in the room. What can she say? Sorry, no player in room variable. Or no, I can't. There's no Sonos device in room. I'm so sorry, but I can't. There's no Sonos in room blah. So what does this do? This random talk takes a random talk from no player in room. No player in room. So it takes one of these three, one random one, and it replaces these ones, curly braces in English, yeah. It replaces those curly braces with the content of whatever you give it. So in that case, room. We have ended the dialogue and we return now because we cannot continue without a device. If we get here, that means we have actually a device in the room, so we want to do whatever the action says we asked to do.
Oh, happy day.
Yeah, very happy day. So in that case, if action equals play, we're going to do self.sonos players room, the one we want, dot play. Let's copy this. Hi. If we want to stop, we're going to say here stop. And here else. I don't even know if they have a pause. Pause. Yeah, pause. Good. That's all we do. And of course, we have to end the dialogue. If you don't end the dialogue, the snip session is not ended, which means it's gonna run until its natural timeout, which is by default 30 seconds, which means within those 30 seconds time frame, you don't have a possibility to interact with Alice anymore because she's waiting and waiting and waiting until that session crashes. So in that case, we're going to self.end dialog. Again, session ID is session dot session ID, and the text is going to be self.random talk text. Okay. And let's create the OK text here. Okay, done. Sure, just did. And my player. Oh, that's a bit too bah. Sure, just did it. Of course. There we go. Now, I think this would already be running actually. What we forgot to do is actually maybe stop the skill if there is no player discovered on your network. For that, we're going to do if not self dot Sonos players, which means it's empty, self dot log warning, no Sonos device found, no new, that's enough. And we raise here skill failed starting, I think it was, no, it's skill starting failed. Yeah. Which will automatically disable the skill temporarily until next reboot. Yeah, I think we have a bit about everything we need. Action else play. Seems to be correct to me. Here, checks are passing. So let's go to our SSH. Stop Alice with Control C. And let's start her again. I just saw Sonos going through. Red Queen. Where are you? Sonos skill, sorry, didn't see it. Sonos skill was started, and we can see that she is training the NLU because skill Sonos has new language support and is new. So this is gonna take a little while. There you go. Meanwhile, I quickly go here. As we can see, we have widgets actually here. Widgets defined by what we actually gave in the dev mode, and that said widget is already here, ready for you to use. Of course, not yet programmed, but already available. And under skills, we can see that we have our Sonos skill that has been enabled, and we can view its intent, play, stop, pause Sonos with some with an example what that intent is. And now she has started. Let's try it. Oops. No. Anyway, can stay here also. Hey Alice. Hey Snips.
Yes?
Can you play some music, please?
No, I can't. There's no Sonos device in room default.
Yeah, again, there's no player in room default. That's normal. Let's quickly check if we can do Sonos. Yeah, I have one in the living room. So, hey Snips,
Yes?
play some music in the living room.
No, I can't. There's no Sonos device in living room.
Why not? Uh, that's weird. There is. We can see it here. Oh, I know. Player name got lower, and here the room should be also to lowercase. I guess it's that. So I have stopped Alice, and I can start her up again. Let's quickly open that up. Hey Snips,
Yes?
play some music in the living room.
Of course.
And we can see that it actually changed. Hey Snips,
Yes?
stop the music in the living room.
Of course.
There we go. What is actually missing from that is we have a room that is called everywhere, and in that case it's bad, everywhere. Okay, and we need support for that also. Let's say if room not in Sonos player and room not equal to constants, import constants dot everywhere. I'm pretty sure I did that. Yeah, everywhere. Now, if room, it's going to be a bit harder than that. If room equals constants dot everywhere, let's quickly make def action room string action string try self.sonos player room. Can we do that? I don't remember. I think yes, dot action except pass. Yeah, that's bad. I don't care. No, it doesn't want. So we're gonna do that this way. Ah, got a mouse problem. I don't know what's going on. here. Yeah. So if it's everywhere, we're gonna do for room in self.sonos players self.action room, and we have action, which is action. And if it's not everywhere, we're gonna do self.action room action. Um, so we handle now everywhere, which is quite important if I ask to turn off the music everywhere. We can quickly check if that works. There we go. Let me open that one. No, not that one, that one. Hey Snips,
Yes?
play some music everywhere.
Sure, just did.
Hey Snips,
Yes?
stop the music everywhere.
Okay, done.
So, we're working. Let's close this. Of course, we need more intents and all that, but I'm not gonna go further for that stream. It's gonna take too long. What we're gonna check now is the different files here, which is Sonos install. That's the first. That's the install file, which is needed for Alice to install your skill. Not many things to change here, except for the fact that if you are using alpha release functions, you're gonna have to increase the minimum version here. This is your skill version, which you're gonna have to increase if you want to update it. Category. I don't remember all the categories I have defined, so I can find them into in our documentation under skill configuration file. Yeah, no, that's not true. Into your first skill and Hello World installed here. Oh, cool, I have one music. Again, it's checked and doesn't work if you type wrong, so here it's gonna be music. And of course an icon, that's the default one, and icons, all icons from Font Awesome are supported. Font Awesome. If it fires up, do it. Yeah, here. It takes, of course, the free fonts, even though even if you are a registered user for paid fonts, you cannot use them in open source project. I've asked them, but they told me no, not for now. Here and search music or something like that. Yeah, music, perfect. Or wait, maybe not music. Maybe they have a brand. No. So it's going to be music. I quickly check. I think it's FAS. Yeah. Here, FAS, FA for Font Awesome and music, as we said. Yeah, that's real about it for that one. README holds about the same information, which you also need to update. This one isn't yet working, of course, because it requires me to actually publish your skill for this one to show, but that comes a bit later. And all these files, for example, the GitLab is needed for your skill to be automatically built and deployed. Git ignore has a few files and folders to be ignored. For example, your config.json, which is very important to ignore in case you forget to remove it and publish your configurations online. That's gone. We have the editor config, which is a file that is read by many editors and provide different default configuration. We are using tabs. We insert a final new line. We are using UTF-8, and the end of line is LF for Unix systems. We can see that the empty line is added as soon as I hit Control S. An empty line is added by default. Yeah, I think we saw about everything. I'm not gonna go into widgets for now because this is gonna be maybe for a future stream how to build those widgets. Widgets are these things appearing here, like hey Snips,
Yes.
what time is it? This is a very good widget made by Philip, by the way.
It is
Download it.
9:25.
Oh, she was very slow because I'm using all my bandwidth for the stream, I think. Anyway, last thing we have to do is actually push the changes onto our repository. In that case, my own repository, like working copy, and we commit and push it. Yeah, that's about it. And what you want to do once you're ready for it to be published, to be released for the users to download from skills, download. Once you want your skill to appear here, you're gonna just, for now, you will have to come to our Discord and ask me under skill to publish your skill. When you're ready, I'm gonna check all the code and everything and publish your skill. Publishing for me is very simple. I'm gonna fork your repository, your work, and it's gonna appear all by itself here for other people to use. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this second stream. Um, I hope it was better than the first one. I hope it was informative. Do not hesitate to report bugs. Do not hesitate to try to see what's going on, to tinker with what's available. That's what's really make me go further. People reporting difficulties to do things make me develop things easier, or add functions or things, or just I'm I'm open to everything. Just ask for it. Um, and yeah, I hope to see skills appearing on the store in a while. You guys have a good night. See ya for the next stream. I guess that's gonna be about building widgets. See ya.